Page 48.
They didn't start fighting at the.
Hello, I'm Daniel. You got a copy?
Love one.
Yes. Yeah. That's
I think yours.
that's yours. Yes. Okay, so chapter Shmuel Aleph, chapter 17, chapter Yud Zayin.
12.
Chapter 12. No.
Please.
Pasuk Yud Beis, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Chapter Yud Zayin, Pasuk Yud Beis. So there's got up to a pay to break in the story. What happened was Goliath, or Goliath as he's called in the story, we described his height, we described his armor, and he came out to scare the Jews, to challenge them. His challenge was, instead of fighting, going to war, let's have a duel, and whoever wins, that will be the decide the victory. Makes a lot more sense. Okay, come back to the story. David. Now, this is shocking because David is now introduced as if we don't know who he is. David ben Ish Ephrosi Hazeh mi Beis Lechem Yehuda. David is the son of a man Ephrati. Now Ephrati might mean something to do with Ephraim, but we know that's not true because David had nothing to do with Ephraim. David was from Yehuda. So I think Ephrati means aristocratic.
He wasn't.
Well, he was the son of an aristocratic man.
Right,
What does aristocratic mean? People who are well-to-do,
Upper
wealthy, upper class, landowners. Or it's a bit funny because everybody was a landowner in Israel.
Right.
But he was from well-to-do family. Okay, wealthy.
He didn't live with them though. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, up till now, but I don't know how long the story of Shmuel happened before.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, he was the son of an Ephrati, Hazeh. This one. That means Mi Beis Lechem, Yehuda, from Beis Lechem in Yehuda. Means there could have been Beis Lechems in other places. There is actually on the map a place called Beis Lechem in the north, near Haifa. So this is Beis Lechem in Yehuda. Ushma Yishai. His name is Yishai. V'loi Shmoyne Banim. He has 8 sons. But as you said, originally, according to the Medrash, he only knew that he had 7, and I found he's got 8. But in the meantime, now he's got 8. Good. Now, we know all that, don't we? It's a bit strange that the author of this book has to reintroduce David. We don't know who his father is. We don't know what town he's from. We know all this information. We know he's got 8 sons. Aish, to me, it looks like this has been taken from another source.
Right.
Whatever that's meant to mean. No, what I mean is it's possible that even if Shmuel is the author of the book, he may not have been original work. He may have put together documents that had already existed.
Right.
But it's still a bit funny because Shmuel lived at the time of these things happening, so he doesn't need to get information. And he's a Navi. So I don't know. I don't know what the answer to this question is. David is being introduced again, and his father from Beis Lechem. He's got 7 brothers. This is a piece of information that we didn't know. Aish, and this man in Yishai, b'imei Shaul, during the.
How come you're suggesting that it's from a different source? What's the reason you're suggesting?
Because I have no other way to explain this question. That means this Pasuk Yud Beis is introducing David as if he's unknown. As if this is the first time you've met him.
Sometimes like what Torah? It does that just like repeating. In like the Torah repeats things just like and you're like why?
Okay, so each time you're going to have to ask the question. You have to have a good answer. We don't always have an answer, but
Could it be that it's chronologically before what we just read about the Goliath and everything?
Possibly. I know I've suggested that in past Shiurim, but I think you'll realize as we get through the story it won't work out. Yeah, you're right. This whole story could have happened before David was anointed, right? Yeah. But let's see if that'll work out. That will answer certain questions.
Why would there be a pay now then though? We already just discussed without a pay, like the beginning of the combat. If we didn't have a pay yet. Oh, that's not true, actually. We had one at the beginning of pay.
No, the question is, if this is out of order, where's the out of order start and where does it finish? Right? So let's see what the story is and see whether that'll work. It will certainly answer this question, right? That there was a man called David, right? And he lived in Beis Lechem. His father was Yishai. Well, Aish, and this man, meaning Yishai, Bimei Shaul, during the days of Shaul, like from the word Yamim, Yom is a day, Yamim a days, Yemei the days of, Biyemei in the days of Shaul, Zaken, he was an elder, which could either give away his age, or it could give away his status. Right? He was,
is it talking about his father? Or?
So my Yishai, no, so my Yishai. Because it says David ben Ish.
Right.
The Ish is referring to Yishai. He was an elder statesman, a man of wisdom, looked up to Ba Anashim, coming amongst men. Which means when there was a gathering of important figures, he would be one of those who would be there. Whenever you had a collection of rabbis or wise men who had to make a decision, he was there. He was amongst the well-known people. Anashim doesn't just mean men, it means well-known men, important people. Okay, now we know who this David is, and now we'll see. Vayelchu shloishes b'nei Yishai, and the three sons, or three of the sons of Yishai went, Hagdolim, the bigger ones, the three oldest sons, who we already know their names because we were mentioned before, Halchu, they went acharei Shaul. They went after Shaul. They followed Shaul. La milchama, to war. They were soldiers in Shaul's forces. Shem shleishes banav, the name of the three sons, asher halchu b'milchama, the ones who went out to war, who were the three oldest. Eliav habachar, Eliav the firstborn, umishnehu, and the second one. From the word sheni, the second child, Avina Dav, the Hashlishi, and the third one, Shama. So we knew all those names as they were mentioned before. But David, who Hakatan, David, he is the youngest. Shlacha Agdolin, and three big ones, who Acharei Shaul, followed Shaul. Don't know why it says that again. The David.
Why does it mention the other sons?
Why doesn't it mention? Because they're not part of it. They're not, because they didn't have to follow Shaul.
Doesn't it sound a bit weird that the three eldest ones and the youngest one went?
No, it doesn't say the youngest one went. No, it doesn't say that.
Hakatan.
No, it doesn't say David went. But David, who Hakatan? David, he is the youngest.
Oh, it says he's the youngest?
He's the youngest. Because we didn't mention that. We just mentioned that David is one of the 8 sons. Now we mentioned that he was the youngest of the 8. And the 3 oldest are the ones who followed Shaul out to war. Okay. V'David holech v'shav. And David goes and returns. Holech goes, Shav returns. Me'al Shaul, from being with Shaul, or on top of Shaul, it doesn't mean that. It means David would be the one who would play music for Shaul when Shaul was in a bad spirit. So I think that already makes a problem with the order. And then this pasuk is out of order again. That means the bad spirit of Shaul, it would seem, was from the point that David was anointed. That's where it was brought, at least. That's the simple way to read the story. David was anointed, he got the Spirit of God, the bad spirit left Shaul, he got a bad spirit. Then David was employed to play music for him. So it looks like this story is happening after that story. Right? Certainly, otherwise you're really mixing things up. Okay? So David, Leroy is a son of Aviv. Why did he have to go back? Because his job was to shepherd his father's sheep, Beis Lachem in Bethlehem. Right? Lirois is to shepherd. The word ra means bad. It can also mean a friend, as in v'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. It can also mean to blow a trumpet, as in a teruah. Right? But here doesn't mean any of those words. It means to shepherd. Hashem ro'i lo echsa. The Tehillim we said after davening. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. Psalm 23. Okay, ra'ah is a shepherd. So lirot with an ayah means to shepherd. So he went to shepherd as son of his father's sheep. Beis Lachem in Shaul. That's why he had to go backwards and forwards, because he had to look after the sheep. So he couldn't be there with Shaul the whole time. Now back to the story. Now there's no samach, no pay. This is in the middle of the story. So it's clear that this is the order, and we're not out of order. But Yigash HaPlishti, and the Philistine came close, means he drew closer to the Jewish battalions who were arranged in battle formation. Hashkem v'ha'arev, early in the morning and towards the evening. So we said, Chazal say that he purposely tried to coincide with the times he knew the Jewish people were saying Shema, because he wanted to give them a message. You're saying Shema, Yisrael Hashem Echad, and he's the great God and all-powerful God that you have. Well, then if so, let him come and help you. I just challenge one of you and see if he's going to come and help you. Okay. Vayis Yatsev, and he stood erect, Arba'im Yom, 40 days. So he did this day, morning and evening for 40 days consecutively.
A standoff?
Well, he stood there challenging the Jews to see if everyone would come. 49 guys go to the coastal for 40 days, right? Guys go to the coastal to pray for 40 days. He did it for 40 days too. 40 days seems to be a significant number, right? You know, Moshe Rabbeinu was up on Mount Sinai for 40 days. The flood was for 40 days, right? Well, what it is. Okay, back to Yishai now. LeDavid Beno. Yishai said to David, his son, Kach na, please take, le'achecha, to your brothers. He's sending to his brothers supplies. They're out in the army, and he's sending David to take something to them. Ephas hakoli hazeh. So, Epha is an amount. Okay, it's to mention it beforehand. It's 10 times the amount that you take challah from. So it's about 20 pounds, right? I think 20 pounds in weight of grain. Now, koli is usually spelled without an aleph. I'm sure it means the same thing. Koli means parched grain. It means you take grain and you roast it so that you can eat it as it is. Raw grain doesn't taste nice. Yeah. If you roast it, you can eat it without actually cooking it. Okay, it was a snack. You don't eat it as bread, but that way I think it also stays fresh. And he's sending them 20 kilo of approximately 20 kilo of roasted grain. V'asara lechem, and 10 breads, 10 loaves of bread. Hazeh means he's pointing to it. Take these 20 kilo of parched grain, 10 loaves of bread. V'haretz hamachane le'achecha. I presume haretz has got something to do with running, as in rut, la rut, ritza, rutz katzvi. You know rutz katzvi? That's Tzvi Pauli's business. Rutz katzvi. He's a running coach. So it's called Rutz Katzvi. That's his name, Tzvi. Okay, Rutz means to run. So I imagine the word Haretz means to run. Go and run off with this stuff. Well, you can't run too fast because there's lots of stuff here, right? But you couldn't go quickly. Hamachane, to the camp, meaning to the army camp. Le'achecha, to your brothers. So this is they don't get so well fed in the army. You know, you have very, very basic rations in the army, I suppose, but you want to send his sons to fill them up a bit. Extra stuff. The Aseres Charitze.
David wasn't there from the beginning.
Wasn't where?
No,
it looks like he was already at home at the time.
Right.
He'd gone home on leave to look after the sheep, whilst his brothers went off to the army. Right. The Aseres Charitze Hecholov, and 10 something of milk, which probably, now a charitz usually means a furrow, something you dig in the ground when you plant, right? It's probably the shape, right? That's probably why it's called a charitz, because it's that shaped long, and it's something to do with milk. Probably it's it's a type of cheese. It's made of milk, long. You could have triangular cheeses and round cheese. This was a long cheese, I guess. Ha'elevis, tavi, bring them l'sar ha'elef, to the officer of their unit. Elef means 1,000, so 1,000 soldiers would be in a battalion, whatever I don't know what it's called, right? Okay, so each Elef has a leader called the Sarah Elef, and this was a present. So the cheese was not for his brothers, the cheese was for the officer, their officer. That way, you know, if you're on good terms with the officer, they don't punish you so easily. Whatever, it's good to be on good terms with the officer. Okay? Tif ve'esachecha tifkod l'shalom. You shall, tifkod means to remember or visit, l'shalom in peace, which really means find out how they are. Fact. Tifkod means to remember or to take a record. Bring back a report of how they're doing. Are they strong? Are they healthy? Are they tired? Exactly how they're Tifkod. Or send my regards. I send regards to them and bring back. Okay, a report. Now, this is a very difficult line. The es aruba sam tikoch. You shall take their aruba. Now, no one really knows what this means in simple. Right? What is an aruba? What are you supposed to take from them? What could you possibly take from them? So, the al derech hapshat means, on a simple way to understand it, the word aruba is understood from the word arev. An arev is a guarantor. It's the same word as eruv. That means we mentioned, there's lots and lots of words with ayin resh base. To make something sweet, to mix, the west, evening, guarantor, they all mean arev, right? We mentioned once how they're all related to each other. We're all talking about mixing, right? You mix, you get something sweet when you mix it. The evening is mixed. It's that night and day gets mixed, and the sun is in the west at that time. That's why the west is called that. Now, a guarantor is mixed because he's mixing into something that isn't really his business, right? The real business is between the lender and the borrower, right? And he's mixing in, right? Not negatively, not mixing in, not being nosy, right? But he's mixing into something and getting involved in something which is not really his. Okay, so now. What would a guarantor have to do with the army base? So the Pashtunim, meaning those who are looking for a simple way to read without being ingenious like Chazal did in the Medrash, right? Say this is referring to now I say the word pawn meaning P-A-W-N, right? Meaning when you want to get something, you don't have any money for it, you take your gold watch and you go to a pawn shop and they will lend you money on the collateral that you gave them, right? So if you're in the army, you might have the same thing. There's a tuck shop in the army where you can buy chocolate and you can buy other things there. But if you don't have any money, you have to give something of yours in order to get. So now, since the father is now supplying the money, they can take it back. So you go to the shop, the tuck shop in the army, and ask them back for their guarantees that they gave. That's called arubasam, because I'm giving the money to redeem the things that they gave in order to.
He didn't specify that he gave them money.
Okay, you'll have to add that on. Right, I agree with that. Yeah, you'll have to add on that he gave them money. Right. That's a very ingenious suggestion, right? It's based on several things. You have to say there was a tuck shop in the army. You have to say that their father knew they ran out of money. You have to say that they had this concept of giving a guarantor, and the father gave them money, which isn't mentioned. There's a lot of missing in the story, but I think that's the best shot that I saw to explain that. Chazal have a completely different shot. Which is that Yishai made an invention, a novel invention, that when you go out to war, you should divorce your wife because of the risk that you go missing in action. What do they call them? MIA, missing. Yes.
MIA. They can't find your dead body.
And they can't find you, but they don't know if you're alive or dead. And now your wife is an aguna. Aguna means
Can't get married.
right. Aguna actually with ogen means an anchor, the anchor of a boat.
She's stuck.
Which she's stuck, which is what an anchor does, right? So an aguna means a woman who's anchored. She can't get married, but she doesn't have a husband. She's stuck, right? It's a very, very awful position, terribly painful position for a woman to be. But unfortunately, there's often nothing you can do about it, because unless you have evidence that the husband is dead, the evidence can be very flimsy, which is also usually halachically accepted. There has to be some type of evidence. It doesn't have to be the usual. It doesn't have to be two male adult witnesses. It can be a woman, it can be a goy. There's also leniencies in the type of evidence, but it has to be some type of evidence, real evidence, right? So this was a big problem after the war. Yes, I saw him in the line, and Mengele sent him to the right, but I never saw him after that. So is that good enough? You didn't see him actually go. There were lots of people. There were stories of people who went off to the right and were pulled back at the last minute. So maybe, but you have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about that. Those were the sort of terrible situations that rabbis had to deal with, Moshe Feinstein in particular, after the war. Aguna questions. Okay, so Yishai wanted to prevent this being a problem in the war, so he suggested to his sons that they should write divorce for their wives, and then if they come back, they'll have some type of condition. If I don't return, if my body is not found or returned within 30 days of the ceasefire, then retroactively or from now on, you should be divorced. Right?
Wait.
You can't make it from now on because you really could be dead. Right? You'd have to say retroactively, something like that. Yeah?
Wait, so like for example, let's say, so like what Yishai told the sons to do was essentially, you're gonna write a get, you're gonna have it whatever, and you're gonna have it like you're gonna give it to your wife, saying, should I not return, and after following the war, whatever parameters, you are going to be divorced.
Correct.
And
that way, even if he's alive, she's allowed to get married. Now, the unfortunate situation is if he's stuck, and then on day 31, I'm here, too late, got divorced. So you can get remarried, but you can get married in the meantime. Or if you're a kohen, it doesn't help. Once you're divorced, you can't remarry your divorcee if you're a kohen. So that could be, but so you have to give yourself a period of time long enough, maybe 30 days isn't enough, 3 months, 6 months, whatever, some period of time after the end of the war, and then...
Can you write a conditional get?
Absolutely, yeah, sure. Gittin's are full of conditional gets. Yeah, you can do such a thing. Yeah. So, what is that? And the Chazal suggests that this is hinted in this passage. Because the word arev means to be mixed together. Well, what makes a man and woman mixed together is their marriage. That's how they become mixed together. To take their mixture away means to ask them to send you, write out a get, and you'll be a shliach. You could be the husband doesn't have to give it directly into the woman's hand, and you will be a shliach, a proxy, to send the get to their wives. That is the first place that this idea is hinted to, and Chazal say that subsequent to this, David introduced this into his army. It wasn't something that Shaul had in his army, it was something Yishai innovated for his sons, and David subsequently introduced it to all his soldiers. Would do this before they went out to battle. They would give their wives there's a bit of a debate, was it a conditional get, or was it a real get, was it retroactively? There's all sorts of doubts exactly what it was, but something like that. Okay, so that's very ingenious again, but either way, it's not a straightforward pasuk. Okay, Shaul and Shaul, Vehema, and they means David's 3 brothers, V'chalis Yisrael, and all the men of Israel, Be'emek ha'ela, they are in Emek ha'ela, as we mentioned at the beginning of the chapter, Nilchamim, fighting in Pelishtim. Fight doesn't mean physically battling, they weren't doing anything yet, right? They were being challenged, but they were at war. That's what it means. They were at war with their battle arrangements ready to fight at any moment, and there was a Cold War or standoff at the moment facing Goliath's challenge. Vayash came David Baboike. David got up early in the morning because he was now on his job to go to what? To go take these things to his brothers. Vayitosh, that means to leave behind, or to forsake, or to leave vacant. Esatzoy, the sheep, al shomer, with a guard. Means he left them, didn't leave them with nobody, but he left them, he wasn't in charge, he left them with somebody else. But Esau, and he lifted, I suppose that means he lifted all the stuff that he was supposed to take, meaning the 20 kilo of grain and the 10 loaves of bread and the 10 cheeses for the officer. And the money, whatever he had to do with it. Vayelech, and he went. Kashet Sivahu, Yishai, like Yishai had commanded him. Siva commanded him. Yavai, and he came Ma'agola. Now Ma'agola is probably from the word agol, which means round. An igul. Igul is something which is circular. Okay, you've heard of Choni HaMe'agel? He was a rabbi who used to draw circles around himself and wouldn't leave until it rained. Yeah. So he's a Me'agel. He made circles. So an igul is a circle. I presume this is describing the army camp. Was probably camped in a circle, like you always imagine cowboys against the Indians, right? In a circle, Okay? So this is a temporary army camp. So I presume that's what it means. He came to the circle of the army camp. V'hachayil hayotzei el hama'aracha. And there is an army going out to the formations. Means just as he's coming in, the soldiers are on the move towards the Philistines. V'heireyu ba'milchama. And there's some type of shout. Hareyu, not the same word before. Before it meant to shepherd, right? This means to shout out. There was some sort of battle cry. Everyone's going out to war. As he arrives in the camp, people are going out, the Jewish soldiers, on their way towards the Philistines. They've probably been doing this for the last 40 days, right? Every day they go out towards the camp, and the Philistines come the other way, and then Goliath comes out in the middle.
Why does it call him the Plishti instead of his actual name so many times?
Don't know. The Heireyu is probably derogatory. When you pick people by the name, it gives some type of importance. The Heireyu ba'milchama. And there's a cry in war, means there's a battle cry. But Ta'aruch Yisrael, and the Jews, that's Israel, Ta'aruch, arranged, means they marched in formation or got ready to battle. Upelishtim, and the Philistines also did. Ma'aracha, one arrangement, one battalion, one what do we say the word?
Unit.
Likras ma'aracha, towards the other. They're ready to do battle one against the other. Vayitosh David es hakelim me'alav, and the same word, Vayitosh, that is 3 lines ago.
Say
Levites.
So he left behind esakelim me'alav, the utensils from upon him. And he's carrying these whole loads, bags and whatever stuff, and he left it behind. Al yad shomeh, next to the guard. It means there was a guard in the camp who was guarding the stuff. Because when all the soldiers left to go out to battle, somebody has to be left behind to guard the stuff. So he left his stuff with the same guard. Al yad shomer hakelim. Next to al yad means by the hand of, or under the jurisdiction of the guard of the utensils, and he left his stuff there as well because he wants to see what's going on. He wants to see the action, as they say, right? He heard the shout, then what's going on. Wants to see what's going on. Exciting, okay? Now Yorat hama'aracha. So he Yorat. Come on, heard beforehand. Ran. Very good. He ran to the formation. Yavoy, and he arrived. So there he's right with all the soldiers who are marching out to battle. Yishal le'echav le'shalom, and he asked, like Shoel, about his brothers to peace. Meaning he asked how his brothers are doing. That means he either asked his brothers themselves, or he asked other people, how are my brothers doing? Who's your brother? What's his name? Him. Yeah, he's doing great. He's doing fine. Whatever. He investigated the welfare of his brother. Okay. It's clear from the next passage he's actually speaking to them. V'hu medaber imam. He is speaking with them, with his brothers, 3 brothers. V'hine, and suddenly, Ish beinayim. Who's he? The middleman. Who's the middleman? Goliath, right? Ole. He's coming up out of his tent or out of his unit towards the middle of the battleground. Goliath haplishti shemo. His name is Goliath the Philistine. Migat, from Gat. Now, why we need to know his name or where he's from, I don't know. We knew at the beginning of the chapter. Mi ma'archot pelishtim, from the battle what's the word? Deployments. The battalions of the Philistines. Yidaber, and he spoke kadvarim ha'ele, like these words. Which words? The ones at the beginning of the chapter. I have to repeat them all over again. Means what we said beforehand. Just as David arrived, he's in the middle of speaking to his brothers, and all of a sudden this big, tall giant comes and shouts across the valley, Yishma David, and David heard. V'chal ish Yisrael, all the men of Israel, bir otam, when they saw es ha'ish, the man, vayanusu, and they fled mipanav, from his face. That's fascinating. Every day this happened again and again and again. He's been doing this 40 days. It looks like every time they go out to do battle, and he comes and he challenges them, and they run away because they're scared. But he didn't stop them coming back the next day.
Right.
I don't know, maybe he'll have a heart attack. Maybe it's not happened to him. Right? They're hoping, right? that it'll be good the next day. No, the next day. So what do? They get up and they run. And they were very scared. Aish Yisrael, and the man of Israel said, Hara Isem Ha'ish Ha'ile Hazeh. Hara Isem, that means have you seen? The hey is a question, although it's not so clear how you can see that. Hara Isem Ha'ish Ha'ile Hazeh. Have you seen this man who's coming up? Means, I suppose this person was saying this to David.
Right, they're talking about
Right? Because the other people there knew this, unless this person was also new here, right? You could see David was a newcomer. Obviously, he wasn't a soldier. He didn't look like a soldier. He wasn't dressed like a soldier, right? And he's telling him what's going on. Have you seen this man? Ki lecharef es Yisrael oile. He is going up to blaspheme the Jews, to insult the Jews, to show them that they're relying on God who can't help them. That's what this guy's about to do, or that's what he's done. It could be David couldn't actually hear exactly what we're saying, or David, he said this before David actually heard. V'haya, and it shall be. This is what this man is still continuing to tell David. Ha'ish asher yakenu. The man who will strike him, Ya'ashrenu HaMelech. The king will make him
rich,
very good. Ashir. Ezehu Ashir Hasameach Bechelkai. Good, Ashir means rich. Ya'ashrenu, he will make him rich. Who will make him rich? HaMelech. So this the king had promised. Anyone who goes out to strike Goliath, he will be made rich. Osher Gadol, a great wealth. Osher is wealth, or what you have when you're rich. Ve'es bito yitein lo, and he will give him his daughter. So he who goes out to fight this man will become a son-in-law of the king. Ve'es beis aviv, and his father's house, ya'aseh, he will make chofshi. Chofshi means?
Proud. Famous.
You guys are Zionists.
Chofshi.
Li yoisam chofshi be'yamseinu eretia Yerushalayim. Chofshi means free.
Oh.
To be free. Right? Chofshi. So I'll make him free by Israel. Presumably that means to be free of any responsibilities. You won't have to pay tax. Right? I will exempt this man's whole family from. I don't mean free as opposed to being slaves, because they weren't slaves. But being slave to a king means you have to pay taxes. That's basically what your responsibility is, or you have to serve in his army. Whatever it is, your communal responsibilities. If this guy does this, he'll be free of that. Three things: he'll be made rich with a great wealth. He'll marry the king's daughter, and his family will be free in Israel. This is what was promised. This man is going around he's telling David or not telling David, right? That's so clear, you'll see in a second why not, right? But he's saying this as offering this to any newcomers who don't know this yet. And David said to the men who were standing with him, who were standing near him, this is what he said. What will they do? What will be done? Not mayasa, mayase. Like you had in the Megillah. Right? This will be done. What will be done? La'ish, to the man, asher yakeh es haplishti haloz, who will strike this Philistine. Now he's just heard.
Yeah,
right.
But I think he's trying to make an issue out of it. He's going to go around. What? He wants to know why. David doesn't understand why. If this is real, why has no one done it already? What's everyone so scared of?
Right, well, he saw it.
David doesn't understand why they're scared. You're going to see in a second, David's not scared. You don't even understand why anybody else is scared. So what? And he's trying to get a reaction. He wants to know, is this really true?
He saw David. He saw.
Oh, he saw this guy.
Yeah.
He wasn't scared of him.
Yeah.
Now, halaz sort of means, I think he's like yonder, or this Philistine, this thing. The Hasir, and he will remove cherpa, this disgrace, me'al Yisrael, from the Jews. I mean, this is a disgrace that no one is reacting. Why are you scared? God's going to help you. Why are you scared of him? Right? God want to help you, help you. He doesn't want to help you, won't help you. But there's nothing to be scared of. Who is this uncircumcised Philistine? Who is he that we give him the right to do this? Just let him get away with this? That he has blasphemed Ma'archot Elokim Chayim, the armies of the living God. These are not just any old soldiers. These are the soldiers of the armies of God, the living God, who can fight this guy, who can make him drop dead in 2 seconds. So why would we let him get away with this? Who does this Philistine think he is, that he's cursing the armies of God?
Mm-hmm.
So he's going around asking, what's going to be done? If he's not going to be rewarded, so I understand no one wants to think about it, but he's going to be rewarded. And the people said to him, Kadavar Hazeh, like this thing. Like the other fellow had said. Leimar, saying, Koye Aseh, this is what we've done. Aish, to the man Asher Yakenu, we strike him. He doesn't tell you what it is, because it's the same as what the previous guy said. 3 things. He'll be made very wealthy, marry the king's daughter, and he'll be free, his whole family will be free of paying taxes. Yishma Eliyav. And Eliyav heard. Who's Eliyav?
The brother.
His oldest brother, Achiv HaGadol, the big brother. Bedabro, when he was speaking, Elo Anoshim, to these people. He heard David going around asking people. And what does Eliyav think?
Why is he doing that?
Well, that's a question, but what does he think? What's David going to do? David's going to do something really stupid, right? This little squirt of a brother he's going to do something stupid and go out and fight that Philistine. So you think he's going to make it big and be rich, and then he's going to and we're going to lose the battle. So he wants to put David off from this silly mistake, right? Vayichar. Besides the fact that he'll be in big trouble if David gets into trouble, right? Because he's his older brother, he's going to look after him. Vayichar af Eliyav b'David, and Eliav's anger burnt against David. He got really annoyed with David. Now remember, we mentioned that Eliav lost the ability to be king because he was short-tempered. This is where Chazal see it.
Oh.
And God said he had rejected Eliav, didn't say why, right? So Chazal said because he had a quick temper. Where do you see it over here? Why are you getting a temper with David? You just go up to David and talk to him nicely and explain to him why this is not a good idea and discuss it with him. Why are you getting to a temper with him? Already come to a conclusion. Let's see what he says. And he said, Lama zeyaradita. Why this did you come? He means, why did you come? Why did you come down here? What do you mean? Well, you know why I came. No, he doesn't really know, because he hasn't had a chance to show him all the golds and all the money and all the stuff. He has no idea, right? He just thinks, what's he come for?
Fame.
To get some of the action, to see some of the action, to be in some of the action, right? And with whom did you leave the small amount, these small amount of sheep? Because you don't have such this, those sheep you're supposed to look at, you just left them, right? You didn't leave with anybody. See, he's coming to jump to conclusions. Why did you come? Who did you leave the sheep with? Bamidbar in the desert, and we're going to get attacked by wolves or lions, right? I know this is absolutely without any substance, this claim against David, right? He's had a good reason to come. He left them with somebody, right? And his big brother is bossing him around, immediately coming to conclusions. Ani yodati, I know, as the doncha, your evil intent. Right? I know what you're coming for. Ve'ezroya levavecha, and your evil heart. Ki leman, what was the reason why you came? Ra'ot hamilchama yaradito. You came to see the battle. So you can see why Chazal say this guy is right, lost his position. Well, on what basis did you assume that? You've misjudged him, come to conclusions without asking any questions, getting into a temper for nothing.
Right.
David, Me'asisi.
What's Yoradas?
Yoradita. You came down. Means you came down just to see war, to get a good picture, right? Or maybe even to get a medal, to do something stupid and get yourself killed, right? Vayomer David, Me'asisi. What did I do? Ata. Now, what have I done? Haloi Davarhu. Now, that could mean many things. Is it not a matter, or is it not a word? Means it could be, I didn't do anything. I just a davar. asked around what's going to be. Did I say that? What? Like you saying, what do you want for my life? All I said was I asked around to find out what's going to be given to the guy who. I didn't say I'm going. Obviously, you think that I'm going down. Right? You jumped to a conclusion that I'm going to have to do something stupid. I didn't say I'm going to do that.
The brothers heard him say it. Like
yes, I know. It says the brothers heard him. Like when he spoke to people. So David said, "Yeah, okay, just asking around. That's all. I didn't say I'm going to do something." Right? Or he's saying the opposite. Halidavar means there is a big matter over here. This is a disgrace. This is something that has to be sorted out. Right? So what do you want from me? I'm just going to let this guy curse God and curse the Jews and you guys are sitting there doing nothing. Something has to be done. Halidavar, isn't it? Right? But I don't think, you could read it like that, but I think the first way is better. Because he said, what did I do? Me al sisi. What have I done?
Right. If
now,
say that, like he's just...
He should say, what have you done?
He's confirming the brother's point.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe you can still read it both ways. Okay. What did he do? Vayisav me'etzla, he turns away from him. Vayisav, to turn, like a sevivon. Me'etzla, from being next to his brother. El mul acher. So he basically ignored his brother, turned away, didn't take his... don't forget, David's not a baby. Like he said, David was probably about 28 at the time. Mm-hmm. Okay? So his brother may be 45, I have no idea, right? Mm-hmm. But David can stand up for himself. He turned away to face somebody else. Mul means opposite. Acher, somebody else. Vayomer. And he said, Kadava hazeh, like this thing. Then he asked him the same question. What do you say? What do you think this king's going to do if you chop this guy's head off? Vayishivu and the people replied to him. They answered him. Like a teshuva, which means to reply. Davar, a matter. Kadavar harishon, like the first matter, means everyone gave him the same answer. He asked around, and everyone gave him the same answer. Okay. Vayishamu hadavarim asher diber David. And the words that David spoke became heard. It doesn't say Vayishma'u and they heard. Vayishamu and they were heard. Means other people heard them. David didn't go round, but it got the rumor got around. There was something going round, right? Who's not just asking what's going on, because he keeps saying, he doesn't just say what's going to happen. He says, who does he think he is that he should curse the Jews who are the soldiers of the living God? So those words got around.
He didn't explicitly say that. No,
He did.
You did.
Yeah, he literally went for
Literally,
it.
like 4 lines ago.
Never mind.
What will be done to the man who was treated as Philistine and remove the
Disgrace.
He's rephrasing the question.
Yeah.
And remove disgrace. Who does this Philistine think he is to curse the soldiers of the living God? So when people heard those words, the courageous words, they got back to the higher echelons. Okay. Vayishmu advarim asher diber David vayagidu lifnei Shaul, and they were told in front of Shaul. So the rumor came back to Shaul. Vayikachehu, and they took him. Means David was dragged off to Shaul's tent to report. Now, if we're right, Shaul knows who David is. It's not like they never met each other before. He's his armor bearer, right? Temporary arm bearer, not the whole time. Sometimes he plays music for him. Shaul loves him, right? He's just been on temporary leave to look after the sheep. It's not like a big surprise. Okay, fine. Vayomer David el Shaul. Shaul doesn't say, who are you? No, hi David, it's you. He gives him a big hug. He says, how you doing? Right? Missed you. We'll play some music, whatever, right? Okay. Vayomer David el Shaul. Al yipol leiv adam alav. Al yipol. Yipol means to fall. Al means not. Al yipol. Al is like lo. Al yipol. Somebody told me the difference between al and lo. Lo is when it's a command. Al is when it's a suggestion.
It's like don't?
Yeah, don't. It doesn't mean you're not allowed to, right? We can't tell the king what to do. But he's suggesting to the king. His heart should... Lev adam alav. The heart of a man should not fall upon him. It means you shouldn't lose heart, as you would say in English. Okay, in English you say to lose heart. Avdecha, your servant, Yelech, he will go, the Nilcham, and fight. Ima Pelishtiazem, but this Philistine, it's a big deal, I'll go. Don't be disheartened. I'll go and do it. Vayomer Shaul el David. You can't go to fight with him. How you do it? Kinarata. You're just a young lad. not so young, but completely inexperienced. You're young. V'hu ish milchama, he is a man of war, min ne'urav, from his youth.
Wait,
Wasn't
what's war?
David described as a man?
Correct. Good question. I don't really know the answer to that.
Hilachem.
Yeah, lehilachem means to fight, right? So you're a young lad, and he is a man of war, min urav, right? So Yosef asking a very good question. When Shaul was reported about David, again, we're assuming this is all in order, because there's no way we can make this out of order, right? It's going to be a real mess if we make this out of order, right? David was already introduced him the first time as a, let's see what it says, Gibor Chayil Ish Milchama. Okay, man of war. So there's two ways out. Either that was all not true. It was just, we didn't say that was true. All we said was what somebody said about David. Why someone should say that about David is not true, I don't know.
Well, that's what
But
Shaul heard.
that's what Shaul heard, right? But after Shaul met him, he saw this guy doesn't know a thing about fighting, right? Shaul knew this guy wasn't experienced because they knew each other well. So okay, those were just like, you know, when you apply for a job, you pump up your CV a little bit. Well, it's a bit of exaggeration. Yeah, I was the president of the astronomical society. Well, actually nobody there besides myself. Well, it wasn't a lie, it was true. Yeah. So David was a battle of war. Yeah, he'd fought in his local gang, or Space Invaders. I don't know what he played.
Well, he fought against
the Lions. Okay, so it wasn't really true, but someone said. I don't know. Or for some reason, like I said, Chazal said this was really doyeg, and didn't like David, and so he made up the whole story just to make Shaul jealous. But I don't understand that story. But anyway, there's a problem, right? Or you could answer, yeah, it could be, but he's trained min ne'urav. He's from his youth. That's why he's stressing. Yeah, you also claim to be an Ishmael Chama, but he's brought up on this. He was a little kid. You went to his youth training, like the Greeks. They were brought up from they were babies to do this. Maybe that's why he's saying.
That's youth Milchama.
Ne'urav. No, Milchama is war. He's a man of war, min ne'urav, from his youth. He's always been at this. And therefore, that's why you don't stand a chance. Okay. Either way, Shaul doesn't think that David will be very successful. Vayomer David el Shaul. David said to Shaul, Raya haya avdecha. Your servant was a Ro'eh?
Seer.
No,
evil.
Evil. Oh, come on. We told you there's another word.
Oh,
Come on. Told you there's lots of words. Reish ayin. It means evil. It means weak. It means friend. It means shepherd. No, that's Aresh. That's ayin reish base. This is reish ayin. I'm afraid they're almost the same, right? We've got base, right? Arev, right? Ayin reish base. Sweet. Reish ayin means the shepherd. Shem ro'i, the Lord is my shepherd. Okay, so I was a shepherd. Ro'eh haya avdecha la'aviv. Your servant, meaning myself, was shepherding for his father, meaning for my father. But son amongst the sheep. I suppose you could shepherd amongst the animals as well. Ubaha ari, and the lion came. The es hadov, and the bear. Now it looks like it was one story. It wasn't two different stories. There was one story where they attacked with a lion and bear at the same time.
Oh man.
The Nasa Seh, and it lifted up a sheep. Seh is a sheep. Meha Eder, from the flock. So I'm not sure it was the lion that took, or it was the bear took, or these are two different stories. But either way, the attacking animal took a sheep. V'yatzasi acharav, and I went after it. You know, the lion's running away with a sheep in his mouth. I'm not letting this lion get away with it. So I ran after it. V'hekisiv, and I hit it. V'hitzalti, and I saved, that means I saved it, mipiv, from its mouth. I just took the sheep out of the lion's mouth and the bear's mouth. V'yokom alai, and it got up against me. The lion attacked me after I did. Wasn't happy I took his supper away. So it attacked me. V'echzakti bizkano, I got hold of his beard.
So that sounds like a lion.
The lion, right? What, bears don't have beards? I know. Okay.
They all have fur.
Okay. So I got hold of his beard, v'kisev, and I hit him, v'hamitiv, and I killed him. So you think I'm scared about this guy? I'm not scared. I chase after lions. I hit lions. I kill lions. This is no big deal. Gam Esoari, also the lion. Now that could be in another story. Or it could just be saying, this happened more than once. Gam Esari, Gam Esadoiv Hika Avdecha. Your servant struck both the lion and the bear. Again, either in one story or two story, I don't know. V'haya ha'pelishti ha'arel hazeh. And this uncircumcised Philistine shall be, v'haya, and he will be, who will be? Ha'pelishti, the Philistine, ha'arel, the uncircumcised, hazeh. Ke'achad mehem. He'll just be like one of them. He's no better than the lion or the bear. Just like I did away with the lion or the bear, I'll do away with him too. This Philistine will be just like one of them. Why does he deserve that? Ki chereif ma'archot elokim chayim. Because he has blasphemed or disgraced the battalions of the living God. And therefore he deserves to have the same thing that I did to the lion, I'll do to him as well. It's interesting, there's now a break in the text, even though David is continuing to speak. It's very unusual that someone should continue to speak. Nobody reacted. There's no, and Shaul said as follows, right? There's a samach, means a break, and David's continuing to speak, right? So I think that Shaul just listened at this bragging story of David. David's like some superhuman. And David says, like, he's thinking to himself,
Is this bit serious?
why does he think that Shem will help? Like, because he's so strong at being strong? So I think that David realized he'd not said it right. You see, he hadn't attributed his salvation to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He had blamed that the fact, I'll win because this guy blasphemed. So Saul's like things that you really think that you can do this on your own. You don't realize that you need HaKadosh Baruch Hu to help you. So I think that the pause over here is to give David a chance to say it better. As he says, Vayomer David. So David said, realizing that he hadn't said it right. That's why he has to rephrase it so that Shaul will agree. Hashem, the Lord, Asher hitzilani miyad ho'ari, who saved me. Yeah, you're right, it wasn't me. It could have, I never meant it all along. It's obvious, but I didn't make it clear that I understand it wasn't me, that it was HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That HaKadosh Baruch Hu saved me from the hand of the lion, miyad hadoiv, from the hand of the bear. Hu yatzileni miyad ha'pelishti hazeh. He will save me from the hand of this Philistine. Now you said it like that. It's interesting, there's another Zamach over here in the middle of the puzzle. Shaul, I suppose Shaul has to think about this. Shaul says, El David to David, Lech, go. Hashem ye'imach, God will be with you. If you put your trust in God, then I hear. You're right. Now, the pele on this story is, why does Shaul realizes that David is right? Yeah? He realizes, what's the word? Intellectually, that if HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants to help you, Shaul knows that. He saw that in his own life. He saw that with Yonasan. He knows that David is right. So why isn't he doing it himself?
Yeah, why are they waiting for 40 days? Also, where's
Shmuel? What?
Is he
That he won't be able to do it?
That God doesn't approve of it.
Yeah, and Hashem's not with him anymore.
But that means that God won't help him if he goes out to trust in, put some trust in
Is he
God.
scared that God will help him? Is Shaul scared that God will abandon him?
Yeah.
Like,
Maybe
more
he thinks all
physically
these
than
evil
just-
dreams mean Hashem has given up on
Maybe.
him.
So I think this was all part of the test for Shaul. I think that Shaul is being given another test. And this is his chance. That's why I said that the evil spirit is really Midas HaRachamim. If Shaul can find the courage to go out, despite the fact that he feels God is not with him, despite the fact that he feels depressed and things are going wrong, he goes out. And that, why did Coach Baruch Hu do this whole thing? Was it just to put David in position? Was it to give Shaul his last chance? When Shaul was faced with this clear clear statement of trust, he said, go out. You're right. He couldn't deny that David was right. This is what had to be done. But he didn't have the courage to do it himself. I feel that was his last chance. He really could have got it back. And that was probably why this whole thing was being set up and why this whole black spirit was actually a Midas HaRachamim to give him this last chance. But again, that's just my idea.
Well, he was even given like the 40 days Sure.
Who was? Shaul was.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. And I'll tell you something even more fascinating. If you remember, this is an amazing medrash. When the ark was stolen, I didn't tell you at the time because it's not really important for the story. When the ark was stolen, Rashi brings a medrash that Goliath was the one who took the ark. But that's only half the story. And it says that Shaul went up to Goliath and took the luchais out of the ark back to the Jewish camp.
The what?
So they knew each other.
The tablets which were in the ark, which was really what made the ark so unique and holy. So although Goliath took the ark, Shaul, who was just a regular soldier at the time, wasn't a king, he was just a soldier in the army of the Jews, right? He took the tablets out and ran back with them to tell Eli, and that was when Eli fell off the chair and broke his head, right? So Shaul and Goliath, Shaul wasn't scared of Goliath. He'd fought Goliath to a certain extent. He hadn't managed to pull the ark from it, but he'd taken the tablets out of the ark already beforehand. And this was just like a replay of that showdown between Shaul and Goliath. And that's why Shaul would have been expected to go out there, just finish the job off. You weren't scared last time, why are you scared this time? So you said he was scared because he felt God wasn't with him and all that, okay. But that was all part of the... I didn't tell it to you then because it made problems for me. Cheers. If it's just so that means the golden ark, what is it? If there's no tablets in it, then it is meaningless. It's just a box. So how did it have the power to kill 70,000 Jews or the Philistines and the hemorrhoids and all that whole?
It's still a vessel, like it's.
Yeah, I say. I mean, it's a point which worth that needs to be talked out. That its power is, even though.
But wasn't it just the?
Like it says, the Tanach, like the Luchas themselves, they were holy even though they didn't have any writing on them. The writing disappeared.
Yeah, but it wasn't just the Lucas in there.
Also the
But that's what.
The stuff.
Yeah, okay, I hear. It could be. All right, I hear.
The anointing oil.
Yeah, but isn't that what gave it its power? What its unique power was the Luchas. I always thought of it like that. Okay. Anyway, that's the point to think about. That it's had its amazing power despite the fact it didn't have the tablets in it. Okay.
Yeah.